time for a change in Chicago. John Fox is fired, and new head coach Chris Dale is now starting head coach for the Chicago Bears. He was in San Diego State before, and he tried to rebuild that team. Now he's going to Chicago to coach an NFL team. Let's see how he can rebuild this. He is a team builder, but let's see how he can do with this. He has Jay Cutler at quarterback, Brian Hoyer backing him up. At the moment, Brian Hoyer was starting under John Fox, but in training it will show if Brian Hoyer can remain starter or if it is time for Jay Cutler to coach this, to quarterback this team again. Matt Barkley and Connor Shaw backing them up. Shaw is injured the entire season, however. At running back, he has to deal with Jeremy Langford, Kadeem Carey, and Jordan Howard. Langford, the primary back so far, although he was injured 4 weeks where Kadeem Carey had to come in. Didn't play brilliantly, and even Jordan Howard got some snap, and he is actually, in terms of yards per carriage, Jordan Howard is leading. Fullback, we have Paul Lasky. He has been doing great. He is certainly a runner receiver fullback. He's playing great. Ashron Jeffrey is actually leading the league in yards so far and in touchdowns. He's been amazing. He's actually an MVP candidate so far. She already signed a huge deal for $4 million. Over 4 years, he had about $60 million. We have Eddie Royal, Marquise Wilson, Kevin White injured the entire season, unfortunately. He'll be back, though. Then we have Meredith, who is a great player, to be honest. He's been amazing this season. After that, just Joshua Bellamy, who hasn't played much, but he'll have to prove himself. He's a 4th-year player and a 6th-string receiver. Demary Bird is not a rookie, but he's really fast, and they picked him up off the Green Bay practice squad, actually. At tight end, Zach Miller's getting old, but he's doing amazing. Logan Paulson playing all right. He's might not stay on this team, and Ben Brownbecker is in position to be number 2 tight end. Charles Leno Jr. is left tackle for the Bears. He's been holding up, but some stupid sacks let up. So then Josh Sitton, Ted Larson at left guard. Now at the center position, I have a rookie, Cody Whitehair, starting, and then Grazu is his backup. He will likely not hit the field, and that will likely be a replacement for him as well. Moving on to right guard, we have Kyle Long. He's just a symbol of this team. He's been here so long. Kyle Long, and then Eric Kush. Right tackle now, Bobby Massey is playing. Then we have Mike Adams backing him up. The left end is Akeem Hicks. He's not been showing up, and Cornelius Washington might get the start here pretty soon. So these two are battling for spot 1. Then moving on to right end, we have Mitch Unrein. He's actually playing a defensive tackle. We might swap him over completely because Jonathan Bullard, the rookie, is playing there. 2nd round pick, I believe. Will Sutton is backing him up, and Jim Staton also there. Defensive tackle, we have primary defensive tackle Eddie Goldman and Tyler Davison, number 2. So now, left outside linebacker, here is the star of the team, Pernell McPhee. Been playing amazing, as you'd expect him. He's leading the league in sacks, I believe. Lamar Houston is unfortunately injured the entire season. Not sure if he'll be coming back. He'll have to show himself in next year's preseason. He might actually get cut or traded this offseason. Middle linebacker, here is the big strength, Danny Trevathan. Also, he's leading the team in tackles. He's doing great. Jarrell Freeman backing him up. He's forcing some fumbles, but he's giving us some big plays. Not the fastest guy. Nick Kwiatkowski, I believe, is also, he's a rookie coming in here, and Jim Timu is backing all of those 3 up as number 4 string middle linebacker. Right outside linebacker, we have rookie Leonard Floyd. He's, everybody loves him. Right outside linebacker, rookie Leonard Floyd, and then Sam Acho backing him up. Cornerback here, Kyle Fuller is a great player. Unfortunately, he's injured the entire season. So, this is actually a big move. They traded to the 49ers for Jimmy Ward, and is now on their team. They gave up, I believe, a 4th round pick for Jimmy Ward, and Justin Bethel is now the 2nd string. Bryce Callahan, Jacoby Glendon, Tavon Young, actually 3rd or 4th string soon, and Brandon Boykin is primarily a returner. that's really the only reason Brandon Boyking's still on this team. He has some decent return ability. Although he'll have to show up soon, or he might get cut, because next preseason we'll have better returners than him. Adrian Amos is the clear starter at free safety. Great rookie season, now coming back. Adrian Amos, he's very fast for a free safety. Then we have Chris Prasinski backing him up, and he is also very fast for a free safety, to be honest. Strong safety, we have Harold Jones-QUARTEY, I believe it is, and Dion Bush backing him up. You have maybe 4th or 5th round pick. Dion Bush might get the start soon, because QUARTEY has not played great. Connor Barth, kicker. He's a Pro Bowler, clearly. Missed I don't think any kicks so far. He actually had 2 blocks, so. Pat O'Donnell, the punter, also been playing great, and these are the picks. A 1, a 2nd from Cleveland, and our 2nd, then a 3rd, a 4th from San Diego, a 5th, and no 6th, but 2 7s. Those are the picks for Chicago this year. Next year, we have not acquired any picks yet. See if Chris Dale can make some trades in the off season. It's just tank mode at 3 and 5. It's probably going to be tank mode for the Chicago Bears here. On the practice squad, we have Keyshawn Jarrett, who's too good for a practice squad. He'll be picked up pretty soon if we don't do anything about it. Then Tony Stewart, right outside linebacker. Then we have left outside linebacker with an interesting name, Roy Robertson Harris. Punter Garrett Swanson has to prove himself over Pat O'Donnell, which is not an easy task. And we have cornerback Cravon LeBlanc, great cornerback. He might prove himself soon. Jonathan Anderson, DeAndre Hall, also corner Renell Hall, a receiver. Daniel Braverman, a receiver, and Raheem Mostert at running back. So the games so far: lost in week 1 to the Texans, held in there, but let's just show you the numbers. Brian Hoyer actually got the start here, threw 2 picks, passer rating of below 52%, or 52 passer rating. It's horrible. Then faced the Eagles. This was one of the greatest games in the entire season. We actually won. Chicago Bears threw 5 touchdowns, almost 500 yards for Brian Hoyer. What a game. Forcing 2 turnovers from Carson Wentz, and an unbelievable 4th quarter comeback. Actually, Kenyon Barner also was forced to a fumble, although he had 4.6 yards per carry, otherwise a great game. He also had a touchdown. Jeremy Langford 2.4 yards per carry, and Kadeem Carey 2.2. Just not getting anything done on the ground. Jordan Howard actually stepped in for 1 carry and got 7 yards, as perhaps a 3rd down back. Then this is a dropped Hail Mary actually from Christian Meredith. He had the game in their hands against the Cowboys. Lost to the Lions, just blown out. No chance against the Lions. Then against the Colts, it was just one of those games. You couldn't do anything. Andrew Luck just destroyed them. Actually, a nice win against the Jaguars here. Then, almost gave up a big comeback to the Packers. Great 1st quarter, but then letting up some points. So, great win against the Packers, but it could have been a disaster. Now, week 9, I think, was the bye week, actually. So, highlights coming up. There will be great plays, I hope. This Chicago Bears team is in tank mode, but let's see what they can do. Back to Brian Hoyer here. Stats: 15 and 12. Touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but 2,300 yards nearly. That is amazing. Jay Cutler might step in, though, because I'm not keen on Brian Hoyer. He has a lot of yards, but 12 interceptions. He's on pace to get like 22 interceptions. That's too many. Kadeem Carey, 2.9 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, however, and just 2 fumbles is also quite a lot. So then Jeremy Langford, he has 2.1 yards per carry, horrible, just absolutely horrible. Jordan Howard might have to start pretty soon. He has 12 attempts for 48 yards, 4 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. That is very nice. And the quarterbacks, they're not running. So those are pretty much all the rushing stats you're going to get. They're all going to be by the running backs. And that's combined perhaps 2.8 yards per carry, and that is just horrible. Horrible running. Kadeem Carey probably still going to be the primary back, though. If he can't prove himself, Jeremy Langford gets another chance, and if he can't prove himself, it's going to be Jordan Howard running behind an offensive line who isn't helping, to be honest. So receiving, here you see Alshon Jeffrey, 773 yards, 8 touchdowns. He is balling out. Alshon Jeffrey playing amazing. Kadeem Carey actually has a lot of receiving yards. He's a great receiving back, 48 receptions, which is probably why he will stay the primary back. Eddie Royal backing out Alshon Jeffrey, half his yards, half his touchdowns, number 2 receiver, as it's in the books. Marquise Wilson, no touchdowns, almost 300 yards. He's been doing what we asked him from. Zach Miller has 30 receptions almost, and almost 300 yards and a touchdown. Meredith catching some balls, not really too many targets, but he's been doing okay. He just dropped one game as a Hail Mary pass. He just dropped it. It was tipped to him and he dropped it. Joshua Bellamy also catching some balls. Jordan Howard catching some. And Ben Brownbecker actually has 2 receptions, one of which was a nice 27-yard gain, no, 19-yard gain. Broke like 3 tackles. Sacks allowed, not too many. Kyle Long and Bobby Massey had 3, and that was about it. Just not helping the running backs, though. Alright, on defense, we have Pernell McPhee, who's a big player. So he's actually leading in tackles with 65. Danny Trevathan has a lot of tackles, so does Adrian Amos. Tackles for a loss, we have 12 by Danny Trevathan, 11 Leonard Floyd. Johnson Bullard actually has 11 as well. Pernell McPhee has 10, and Jarrell Freeman has 9. So, great job here. Quarterback sacks. Here, of course, we're going to have Pernell McPhee with 5. Leonard Floyd has 4. Great for the rookie here. Danny Trevathan has 2. Jonathan Bullard has 2. Akeem Hicks has 2. Eddie Goldman has a half a sack. And Harold JONES-QUARTEY has half a sack. Now, interceptions. Man, this team is lacking in interceptions. Not forcing the turnovers. Trevathan has 1. QUARTEY has 1. It's Justin Bethel has 1. Bryce Callahan has 1. And Jacoby Glenn has 1. Not ideal at all. Return yards, 14 is the highest. They're not forcing the interceptions like they should. Pass deflections, Jarrell Freeman has 3 at least. Forced fumble here, 4 for Danny Trevathan. Defensive player of the year perhaps? Okay, maybe too much, but Danny Trevathan's been playing great. Recoveries was Bethel and I believe Pernell McPhee had 2. No blocked kicks, or actually Adrian Amos had 1. That's amazing. No defensive touchdowns, of course, and no safeties, which is unfortunate. Connor Barth actually has 8 of 9. That is not, those are incorrect numbers. I don't know who messed up there, but he has at least 20 attempts, maybe 18 made, 17 made. Pat O'Donnell played great. Brandon Boykin's longest return is 28, and Eddie Rowe 29 yards. Not great numbers at kick returning whatsoever. Punt returning, Eddie Royal had a nice one for 21 yards where he broke some tackles, and that was it. Now, the standings. Dolphins are the worst team in the league, where Saints are the best. Bears actually sitting at 25th in the league at 3-5, but Chris Dale is not making the playoffs. That should be clear. The Chicago Bears are in absolute tank mode right now. Ravens actually leading the division here. Bengals then coming in second. The Steelers just 4-3. Colts at 6-2 definitely make the playoffs here. Jaguars might have a chance as a wild card spot at 4-3, and the Titans at 3-5 definitely out alongside the Texans at 3-5 as well. Then we have the Patriots at 5-3, playoff team for sure. Bills at 4-4. Jets surprisingly at 4-4, and the Dolphins is the worst team in the league at 1-6. Now, AFC West, we have leading is, of course, the Chargers at 4-4, then the Broncos at 4-4, Chiefs at 3-4, and Raiders at 1-6-1. Spread wide open, just the Raiders are sagging a little bit behind there. 1-6-1 is a very bad record. Now, the Lions at 6-2 are actually leading our division. Then the Packers, then the Vikings, Chicago Bears at 3-5. As said before, definitely tank mode. Tank mode for the Bears here. This NFC North division is a tough one. Chicago Bears are not going to prove themselves in their first year, most likely. Maybe in their second year. Maybe in their third year. See what happens. NFC North. Bears at last. Vikings, Packers. And number 1, Lions, led by Matthew Stafford. Now the Saints are in first at 5-1-1. Also the best team in the NFL. Panthers then at 4-3. Falcons at 4-4. And the Bucks at just 2-5. Disappointing, to say the least. Cowboys at 5-2, Redskins at 4-4, Eagles at 2-5, and Giants at 1-6. Eli Manning is not happy, and I do not care, to be quite honest. Cardinals at 6-2, Seahawks at 5-2, Rams at 4-3, and the 49ers at 1-6. Pretty much as expected here. This division, you could have predicted this coming into the season. So, here the NFL, Saints, Colts, two best teams in the league. Could we see a Super Bowl rematch perhaps? Saints, Colts? Not likely, but possible. Now, highlights will be coming up. There's another about 6 weeks until the off-season. Off-season will be very interesting. We already have a whole bunch of good prospects I will show you in this upcoming video. Chicago 2016.